Welcome to Something to Talk About, a lively hour of open discussion covering, well, anything and everything. Hosted by Stuart Sachs, husband, father, and military veteran, and Vaughn Loick, wife, mother, and best-selling author. Now, Something to Talk About. Stuart and Vaughn.
Well, welcome all you coronavirus followers. Vaughn is cleaning the studio as we speak. She will continue. She's doing her Mrs. Dirt Devil routine today.
Yep. I'm doing what I'm told to do.
And yeah, and you know, and she is doing what a lot of people should be doing, or are doing. And that is being cautious. I mean, you took the time and you emailed me this morning and you said, "Are we really going to do this?" Because I'm nervous that they're telling everybody to keep their distance and watch what you're doing. We all have to just wake up and do what is best for us. Can you close yourself up in your house and just stay there for 2 weeks? I think it's kind of doubtful. Secondly, they're saying that going outside and taking a walk is not, as long as you just don't go for a walk with 20 other people, but going for a walk in the fresh air is a good thing. And if you sneeze, chances are it isn't going to even stay airborne. Certainly with all this rain that we've been having lately, it shouldn't really be a bother. But you gotta be sensible, folks. Look around you. All the theaters are dark. A lot of the chain restaurants are dark. You can still go through their drive-through. You can still get curb service. You can still get delivery. The pizza places are absolutely doing land market business right now because they deliver. They have
and a lot of local places are as well. I know here Gallinero is delivering, or not delivering, but you can pull up, curbside, pick it up, bring it home, and we should try to try to support our local businesses as much as we can. There's a shop here in Frisco selling flowers, $1 a flower. I wish I remembered the name of the. Is it me?
I think it's
Okay, there we go.
Yep.
And we should try to do that because it's scary to think of what will happen at the end of all this to all of these businesses, local, nationwide.
That's right. And I mentioned one of the little locally owned and operated businesses, a restaurant. And I went over there on Monday and sat down and I had my breakfast. There were two other tables taken, and they were at separate parts of the dining room. That restaurant, because where we are, they're asking the individual businesses to do the right thing, to do the smart thing. As I say, a lot of restaurants, the chains, all have to be dictated by what their corporation offices tell them to do. But the individually owned, operated businesses, clothing stores, the small markets, food places, whatever it is, you do the right thing for you. And if it means, for instance, a massage place that Lauren and I go to, they just said that what they're going to do is they are going to spread out. In other words, they're not going to do back-to-back massages. What they're going to do is restrict the hours and all in just like one session in the morning and one in the afternoon and maybe one in the evening. That gives them enough time in between to completely sanitize the rooms.
Yeah.
And all. That's taking a prudent step.
Right.
And as I say, the restaurants, if you want to close your dining room and just have people call in, place orders, and meet them at the curb and hand them their food, you're not jeopardizing your business, and you're also doing what's right for your consumer.
And I think, you were talking about it's okay to get out. And I mean, you have to use some common sense. And a lot of what we're beginning to practice right now, especially in regards to like just the whole general good hygiene, personal hygiene kind of practices. But that's something that they say we should do all the time. So however long this lasts, we're being very diligent about, washing our hands and coming in. I'm a big hand washer anyway, but I've picked it up a little bit more. Obviously, Clorox wipes. I get in the car, kind of wipe down the steering wheel, and I'm doing a little bit more. But really, seriously, under normal circumstances, they say that that's good. That's just good practice. So, just using a lot of common sense. You were talking about walking. We've been doing our part to keep the social distancing because I believe that that's just a responsible thing to do. I'm trying to heed the advice and heed the warnings and stay on top of all the updates and all that. But I'm trying also to stay calm and keep it in perspective. But we have been staying home and kind of as much as we can, going to the grocery store on an as-needed basis. But we have been walking a lot, and we live in a gated community. And one of our neighbors actually put out, after a couple days of quarantine, a few days, why doesn't everybody, at about 5 o'clock, and she wasn't encouraging large groups, but walk, you wave to your neighbor. Just a little social interaction is good for the soul. And so she put it out on Facebook, and the next day at 11 o'clock, it was 11 o'clock-ish, around that time. Oh, we saw so many people out walking. And again, you can walk and be very, very far away but you can see faces and you can yell across the street, how are you doing? It was actually really good, and it was very uplifting for me. And I walk the neighborhood all the time, but actually another neighborhood did the same thing. They had heard about it and did the same thing in their neighborhood. They did more of a twilight walk, but it was really nice just to encourage neighbors to get out and wave to each other and maybe have a little chat session across the street from one another or whatever. But it was good for me because I get a little stir crazy sitting in the house. And of course I stay busy. And that's
right.
Something that I'm hoping a lot of people are doing. My daughter's home. She's doing online learning right now. So she's very, very busy. She'll spend about 3 hours a day just on school work.
Is the Baylor campus completely shut down?
Baylor, and then this is Frisco High. So
Okay.
Baylor online learning starts next week. But Frisco High, our local high school here, started online learning this week.
My grandson is doing it at
yes,
the elementary level.
Yeah, absolutely, elementary level as well. And so that's keeping these students pretty busy too. But also, we've used this time to get a lot of household projects tended to, like, just organizing things and cleaning things. And of course I have a daughter, so we've been baking, and we've been doing a lot of exercising, walking, and coming home and doing, online. I tell you what, those online trainers are probably loving it because people are turning on their laptops and getting a little, even my in-laws turned on it, and they're like in their late 70s, early 80s, and they turned on a kind of a senior, exercise, and they sat in their chairs and they did their exercising. And I that's one thing that concerns me too. You don't want to become too lethargic during this time. You want to stay busy and active and healthy and eat right, and don't just sit and eat bonbons and
Oh, really? Lauren, put the bonbons
away. I don't know. So we've been doing a lot of like running and walking around the neighborhood and exercising outdoors and cleaning the pool and just staying busy. And and it's only week 1, which is a little.
That's right.
Ugh.
What's interesting to me, being a septuagenarian, is septuagenarian in the 70s.
Okay.
I'm in my 70s. Is what you're talking about is things that I remember as a child being around. It was that we kind of were a family.
Yeah.
We were together. Lauren and I, talk about playing cards or a board game. We're doing things like that. We're starting to get caught up on a lot of the movies that we've recorded. Mm-hmm. But I hear about the family unit getting together again because the movie theaters are all closed. Mm-hmm. There are no sports venues that are open. The concert venues are all shut down. Everything is dark. So it's almost putting everybody in a position of getting that family unit back together. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's a very, very positive aspect to what we're going through is people are reconnecting with themselves.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I attended a meeting yesterday morning on via Zoom where everybody participated, and I've never been a real fan of doing that. My son often does conference calling in his corporation. And at first I thought, how impersonal is that? But we're forced to do that now, and so life does go on. You just modify it a bit.
Absolutely. And, in terms of sacrifices, right now we're sacrificing by having to stay home. Most of us live in very comfortable places. We have access to
Right.
food and water and, the means to keep us warm. And so it's not right now huge sacrifice. I will tell you one thing that tugs at my heart right now, personally speaking, is that my daughter, Elizabeth, is a senior in high school. And that right now, seniors across the country, whether you're graduating from high school or college, it's really hitting them hard that this is the end of their senior year. And a lot of times, I know specifically at our high school, we've already had a lot of senior events, senior breakfast, homecoming, things like that. But the latter part of the year is where our big events are held, or when our big events are held. Prom, of course.
Right.
We have baccalaureate, which is a rose ceremony, which recognizes all the seniors. It's a beautiful ceremony, one of my favorites. We have, obviously, Powder Puff Day, Senior Skip Day, and then, of course, graduation. So it's been pretty tough on Elizabeth. And all of her friends. It's hitting them hard. It's hitting them in the heart that they can't even see each other right now and kind of, do the fun things that they had planned on doing their senior year. So to all the seniors out there, I mean, I really feel for them. This is a monumental.
challenge.
It is, and
Yeah.
it is. But to your point, and I've had conversations with Elizabeth about this before. But she's 17. She's going to look at this situation through the eyes of a 17-year-old, and some things I don't even bother to say. I do believe, to your point, that she's benefiting in ways that she can't even realize right now. Down the road, she will. She's making sacrifices right now that are just making her angry. But again, they are building her character, and I can see it, but she can't, and that's fine. But we have spent so much time together. She's joined us on walks. We're baking. We're watching great
Right.
movies. We're playing the card games.
That was the point I was making.
And that's the point
Yeah.
you're making. And that's the thing. Right now, she's probably thinking, oh, whatever. I'm spending a lot of time with my parents or my whatever. Right? She's 17. I mean, she loves the time she spends with her family. I'm just saying what I see now, what I see happening to her is she's benefiting in ways that under normal circumstances she wouldn't have, because she wouldn't have chosen to do this. So you have to look. You can look at this and choose to react to it two different ways. Just wallow in the inconvenience of it all, and just the frustration and all of it. You can wallow in that, or try to make the best of it and try to find the positive in it. And that's what
the
we're
way
trying
I
to
see
do.
it is, it's going to help build character, because right now we're all wondering, how are we going to get through this? A year or two from now, we're going to look back and we're going to say, you know what, we got through it, and we were sensible about it. I agree. The seniors in high school and college. I mean, if I was in college right now as a senior, knowing that within the next couple of months I'm going to graduate, and I've already looked for a career opportunity, and now corporations and businesses and everything have got everything on hold, and you're going to say, what am I going to do after I graduate? Unless I have already got a contract to go with a company, and that may not be so binding right now too. Yeah, it's bringing on another level of frustration, but we will get beyond this, and we will look back on it, and we will say, you know what, it really helped build character. It gave us a challenge that we didn't know we were going to ever have to face. And we either faced it well, or if it ever happens again, we'll know what to do. Mm-hmm. I guess that's just the optimist in me. I know that this is something. A lot of people said it's going to get worse before it gets better. We are seeing that in a lot of parts of this country, as well as around the world, it is getting worse before it starts to get better. Mm-hmm. The word out of China is now seeing less cases. They're starting to see a decline in the cases. They are starting to wrap their arms around a solution, and that will then translate to other parts of the world. But right now, we got areas of our country that are very, very in very serious situations. New York City, they showed a picture of Times Square this morning, and absolutely a ghost town. Times Square, one of the most visited places in our country.
And I think that that's a good thing.
It is because people are reacting.
I'm a nervous
positively.
person by nature, and I'm a worrier, and it's not always fun to be like that, but that's just who I am. Phil and I were talking. I was actually also talking to a friend of mine on the phone this morning. A lot of how people react to this is just their personality. And, some people might have the attitude, oh, it's not going to get whatever. They're making a big deal out of this. It's like if you look at the percentage of people who are not, and the much greater percentage are those who are not, and whatever. They might just really. I'm kind of in the middle. I listen when I listen to the news, and when I listen, or even just read about facts, and I try to go to very reputable sources. I mean, you're not going to get your good sources on Twitter.
Absolutely.
But I tend to then, when I am kind of in that world, I get real wrapped up in that, and it makes me feel a little more anxious. So while I want to stay abreast of the developments, I also need to take a break from it all, because I get too caught up in it. I get too emotional and anxious. So Phil, he'll watch the news all day into the evening until he goes to sleep. And last night he came and sat down, and he was going to turn the world news on and whatever. And Elizabeth and I had already decided to watch a movie because we just had it. And we'd been out a good part of the day walking and running and doing our thing. And I said to Phil, and he said, well, you need to know the facts. And I said, you go get the facts, because I need to take a break from it. I cannot talk about this every day, all day.
Right.
That's my personality. And so watching a movie into the evening before I went to bed kind of just helped me relax, go to sleep. My friend and I were talking this morning, same thing. Her husband, he's a doctor, and he's reacting to it obviously much differently. He's having to go in and put himself at some risk.
At risk, right.
And so he's really pulled back the reins. His family is in that house. I mean, unless so depending on, I'm sure, your line of work, your personality type, we're all handling it differently. But the one thing that I do, I guess, buy into is the theory of social distancing, because it's like the domino effects. You got to stop the dominoes from hitting one another. And I guess that's kind of one thing that I do respect. The whole group, minimize your group to less than 10, no social,
right.
Things of that nature. It's just because you're playing the odds.
And this is also a disease that is not as airborne as some forms of flu. This is a disease that is in droplets, and the droplets have a tendency to fall. The issue is not so much if somebody coughs or how far that will travel. Is if I cough, there's a possibility that those droplets fall on this table. And so we have to make sure that we are aware of the surroundings, because they say the biggest danger is for you or I to touch a tabletop, any kind of a surface that might have any kind of infection, and then you're throwing your hair back, or you go like this, or what, and it gets near the nose or the mouth. That is how it is ingested or transmitted. And that's the part about the washing the hands, the using the Purell,
the wiping.
Using
Today's
the wipes.
show is brought to you by Clorox.
Yes, by Clorox and Purell.
And Purell.
And
we have wiped down the table. We've wiped down the mics. I'm going to wipe again. I was telling, we were talking just the fact on the airplane, so many people were wiping down their seats, their table trays in front of them, their armrests.
Was the plane full?
On the way out, yes. And on the way home, there were a lot of full flights. We just happened to be on the last one, so no, it wasn't. But that was over a week ago. We went to Mexico like a day before all this kind of went crazy. And in Mexico, the vibes were totally different. They were happy and fun in the
you're
sun.
You're outdoors, and
you're out on the
really
beach, and they don't.
And in a hot place too.
And you're out on the beach, and the temperature was over 85, I think. And and there are no reported cases there right now, so they're kind of like they were actually considering stopping flights into Mexico. So just because they right now don't have, or at least no reported cases. But anyway, we were all wiping down, and I made a joke because literally I'm not kidding. The airplane smelled like disinfectant, Clorox,
Yep.
because so
Yeah.
many people were sanitizing their
good thing.
hands up to their elbows and washing down seats. The planes have never been cleaner. It's so it was very interesting to me just to see the responsibility, and I think that's what I like to see is just people being responsible. The whole elbow thing, and you don't need to be hugging and kissing people right now. It's just being, it's not being a freak about it. It's just being responsible.
And
And
if you're somewhere and you got one of these, offer one to somebody else.
Yeah.
And let them wipe down their table
put 'em
too,
in a-
because
here's-
it'll help you too.
here's how I travel. I put them in a little Ziploc baggie.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when I get in my car, I'll wipe down my steering
And
wheel.
if you're lucky enough to find them, you can get them
Sanitizers.
this way
Yep.
too. But
So now I've got parents. So on a separate note, just other than just keeping clean, my parents are in their early 80s, and so fortunately they live in a comfortable place and they are happy and comfortable and all that. It's just getting supplies to them. We're wanting them to stay out of the grocery store.
Right.
Now, some grocery stores, I think it's really wonderful, have opened up their hours from, like, say, for example, 7 to 9 for just senior citizens, which I think is a very
right.
a very, very nice gesture. But so we're going to just get the grocery store we're going to order it online and have the grocery store deliver to my parents' house, just to keep them just to keep them home. And so you do need to help the elderly stay comfortable and make sure that they have everything they need without getting out. Now, my father has been getting out, but he's just been going through drive-thrus. He could pick up his medicine, do a drive-through, and
Right.
so
Exactly.
a lot of places are really making. Actually, a friend of Elizabeth's went to Starbucks the other day, and I guess she wasn't thinking. She went in the store. She went in. None of the tables and chairs were even set up. So she kind of walked in and said, "Oh, they're not only encouraging, I think they're almost mandating that you drive through."
Go to the drive-through, or
Yeah.
you can go online. You can place your order, and they'll bring it out to you at the curb.
Yeah.
You can pay for it online. I mean, that's the upside to social media. You were talking earlier about Elizabeth being home. It's not like she's cut off from her friends,
Right.
because they can still FaceTime with
FaceTime,
each
yeah.
other and
Yep.
be connected. They are connected to their school and their learning process via the social media. So we all talk about how much time they spend on their laptops and iPads and phones. Right now, it's their link to reality. And
Yeah, so there's isolation and then there's isolation.
Right.
I mean, we are isolated, but we're not completely isolated.
one of the first things I thought about was being home and being all by yourself and not going out into public. Is probably something that you weren't so unhappy about. You're a reader.
I am a reader, but I'm also
And to sit down and just be able to just read a book, I'm actually starting to do that.
well. Good.
Spend
I'm
a
glad to
little more
hear that
time.
you're doing that. I am very much, and people who know me really well, and you know this about me. I get up and I get moving. I mean, I'm at the gym.
Lauren's the same way.
And Lauren's the same way.
Yeah.
Get up, get out the gym. Or, I do my chores around the house, whatever needs. I tend to the pool, which I love to do.
Well, you mentioned the gym. Is
Walking.
the gym still open?
Gym is closed. Gosh.
Yeah, that's what
Gym
I
is
thought.
closed. I had no plans to go. I'm getting my exercise in other ways. Run, walk. Do my weights at home. Whatever. I mean, I do the pool, which requires arm. I mean, I just. Just move. I mean,
right.
if you're not a gym goer and if you have a gym at the house, then it's easy. You can go do your workout. That's fine. I'm just saying during this time, it is very important to stay active. And I've said this to my parents and my in-laws. Move, take a walk, just do something, clean out a
Yeah.
closet, just move. And so, anyway, I do like, obviously, yes, my moments where I'm just sitting quietly. But that is something that I do. I've always said I need to work on more is being alone and doing quiet like being okay with quietness and alone time. Like, I'm not real good about that, but this is making me really. And again, I'm not alone. I've got Elizabeth and Phil and the cat and everybody, and and we'll be in the backyard and neighbors will walk by and we've got our neighbors are very, very. We've got a very close knit pocket
You
here.
talk
of our,
over the wall.
We do over the driveway, or the kids will kind of ride around the driveway and use our basketball hoop. And I mean, we have a very, very close little pocket there in our neighborhood, and so we're very much constantly in touch and sending group texts. I'm here. Does anybody need this? I'm that. So I have not felt alone. But no, I'm embracing the circumstances. I really am. I'm embracing the circumstances. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to, I don't know, better myself in a lot of different ways. Like I said, I mean, I'm increasing my workouts, and I'm doing the walks, and Elizabeth's joining me, and we're doing stuff around the house and getting her ready for college already, doing some online shop. Like you could continue to shop, people.
That's right.
You know, you might not get your delivery in a timely manner, but you can.
For anything but toilet paper.
For anything but exactly. So I mean, no, I mean, if you just think about it, these are the circumstances. So make the best of it, and you can make it really good. And that's what we've been doing. Again, it's only been a week. I mean, I didn't get back from Mexico till last Saturday.
Right.
So it's only been a week for us, but it is what it is, right? So
You deal with it.
you deal with it.
Well, we'll take.
I don't know
we'll
where
take
we
a
are.
break.
I'm talking, and I see us going up now.
Oh yeah, you.
Did I talk through the break?
You talked right through, but you just went way so.
Sorry.
So take out your Purell and wipe your tabletop again. We'll take a
I
break,
know.
and we'll come right back with more of something to talk about.
3, 2, 1. KVGIRadio.com.
Y'all have really just opened my bubble and just.
KVGI Radio brings you conversation and entertainment. Be sure to follow us on social media. Who streams the best talk shows? We do.
You're listening to KVGIRadio.com. Streaming live from the KVGI studios in Frisco, Texas. Live without limits.
Welcome to Something to Talk About, a lively hour of open discussion covering, well, anything and everything. Hosted by Stuart Sachs, husband, father, and military veteran, and Vaughn Loick, wife, mother, and best-selling author. Now, Something to Talk About. Stuart and Vaughn.
I realize everybody is probably listening to the show and saying, oh, gosh, I wish they'd stop talking about the coronavirus thing. But there isn't an awful lot else in the news.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do, honestly, is just a public service.
Yeah.
Letting people know what you can do. And we were discussing during the break, and I will share it with our audience. Be cautious of some of these posts that are coming up on your computer or on your cell phone for toilet paper and paper towels, because I got one this morning that had a really good deal on ordering online, ultra soft Char Mix, not Charmin, Char Mix. So, the black market is out there, and they're all trying to get you. Plus the fact they also show that for like $19.95 you can buy 3 packages of the mega rolls, whatever. Be careful, because I believe that a lot of this is scammers. And what you're going to end up doing is you're going to hit that PayPal button and send them your $19.95, and you're going to get 1 roll of toilet paper in the mail.
Yeah.
Maybe. And you may not even see it. Better off just checking with the local stores. Pick up the phone, call. If they answer the phone, just say, do you have toilet paper in stock? When will you have toilet paper in stock?
Yeah.
I'm a senior citizen, or I've got young children and all, and I really need it. Can you tell me about when I can come over to the store and have a chance at getting it? And I'm not going to come in and buy 12 multi-packs. Go in and be sensible, folks. Buy what you need. And if...
Well, they're not even letting you buy beyond what you can. Most places are put a limit on paper products, especially. You buy...
Yeah.
Phil went about a week ago, and he was going to get. He thought the sign was, it was limit 2 per customer, so he thought it was limit 2 toilet paper, packages. Right. So he got 2 toilet papers and 1 paper towel. And when he got to the check-in, they said, or checkout, they said limit 2 paper products.
2 paper.
So it doesn't matter if it's tissue, paper plates, whatever. Anyway, so he put the paper towels back and got the 2 toilet paper. Because for some reason, and I still can't explain it, it's toilet paper is the hot commodity right now. And I'm not quite understanding that, but it is. I mean, my friend who went to Mexico with me, she had gotten into a car incident on the highway. A rebar wire hit her gas tank, and so anyway, long story short, she had to turn her car into the repair shop. But it had to go to the repair shop by way of a tow truck. And I'm telling you this only because this is before all the craziness. She had that day, this is a couple weeks ago, had bought a huge 12-pack of toilet paper, was in her trunk of her car. So while we were in Mexico and all of this craziness started happening and all this toilet paper talk started happening, she kept saying, well, at least I've got 12 in my trunk. At least I got 12 in my trunk.
Wrong thing to
she
say.
got home from Mexico, and she... first thing went over to the repair shop to get her toilet paper out of her trunk, and it had been stolen.
Wow.
I mean, isn't that crazy? It had been stolen. Now, we don't know if it was stolen by the tow truck people or the repair shop people, but can you even imagine somebody opened that trunk? And so I don't understand the whole the whole hype on the toilet paper, but...
Well, that's the same thing, when this really was just starting to be disseminated to the public. We happened to be in a Costco, and I just couldn't figure out why I kept seeing all these people with their carts that were going out with like 4 and 5 cases of bottled water. I can understand them hoarding toilet paper, maybe, and paper towels, but bottled water?
Yeah.
I mean, you can get water out of a tap.
Yeah.
And for the most part, most people have refrigerators that have filtered water coming out of the refrigerator.
Yeah.
So why why hoard all this bottled water?
I think that was what happened too, is people who weren't even in the very beginning of all this, on the onset of all the hoarding, people who weren't even aware were in these stores and seeing other people just loading up their baskets with whatever, whether it be toilet paper or paper towels or hand sanitizer or Clorox wipes or whatever it is. Then other people around them felt the need to do it too.
Exactly.
And it's just this like constant. Now I'm hoping, because that was happening early on, that severe kind of, and the stores weren't even prepared yet to manage the situation. Now they are limiting things. Now in fact, there was a woman in front of me at the grocery store a few days ago. She had just been to Target early that morning. I think Target opened at like 5:30 or 6 a.m., something, a very early hour. She said that the manager, that everybody was lined up outside the store. The store, there was a long line at about 5:45 for the store opening at 6. And the manager came out and walked down the line and basically said to everybody, we're going to let you in. Here's what you can buy, and here's how it's going to be limited. If there's any pushing or shoving or language, you're going to be asked to leave. And this woman, who was an elderly woman, she felt very safe. And so I think that in the beginning of it all, it was a little crazy. I think it has calmed down. I think that the stores now are better prepared to manage the day-to-day, goings on now in their store, because it's not normal. It's not. And I'd like to think that because we're calming down, the stores are now going to have time to catch their breath, restock, keep things more on the shelf now, because that onset of hoarding has settled a little bit.
Yeah, that it's the supply line issue now. The stores with their suppliers and everything, if they are going to be limited by what they can bring into their stores to restock the shelves, then they just need to pass that along to the consumer.
Right.
And I mean, I don't have a problem if you tell me I can only buy a 4-pack of tissue paper. Fine, then I'll deal with that. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to argue with somebody.
Right.
I'm also not going to leave the store and wait 20 minutes and come back and buy another 4-pack.
Right.
And do that all day, even though I've got the time to do it.
Right.
It's we have to just work together on it.
Yeah. Well, if we all play by the rules, I mean, there's a reason why there are some rules and some kind of like parameters that have now been set in place. And if we all follow that, it'll calm down, and then it won't be so difficult to kind of live the day by day. And now we were talking earlier about just our neighborhood, and you've got family in town and whatnot. I think it's very important to, like I was telling you, that we have a text message going, hey, I'm here, and there happens to be a lot of, chicken out that hasn't been here for a few days. So we have a little group text, so several I have going on, my book club.
Right.
But I mean, if you don't, and if you think about it, and my one neighbor was reminding me, she actually pulled out her Christmas card list and has just been calling people and checking on them. Or if you have friends that are local within arm's reach, give them a call or a text. I'm out. I'll put something on your porch if you need it. I think also it helps just to be there for each other when you're running around and doing these errands.
You are absolutely right, and I will send a big shout out to the Veterans of Foreign Wars and to the American Legion, because I'm a member of both of those organizations, and both of them over the last week or so have been calling all of the members of the VFW and American Legion and all, just to check in and say how are you doing, because a fairly large percentage are seniors, and they just want to know, are you okay? Is there something that you need? If you need some canned goods or you need some paper goods, we'll try and find it for you and help you out. Mm-hmm. But it's showing that concern for your fellow man. It's showing that concern for your neighbors. If there are seniors in your neighborhood, check up on them and see. If you've got 12 cans of soup in your pantry and maybe they could use one or two, be a good neighbor and help them out. You got an extra package of pasta or something, help them out. If you've got a young family with small children and they need some help with something like the wipes that they use for multiple reasons other than just keeping the surface clean, try and help out. It's what we all go.
Well, yeah, look, we're looking for stuff to do right now, right? It's like we've got a lot of time on our hands. That's one thing, my father and I were talking about is just, ways to keep yourself busy right now. That's one way right there.
Pick up the
Take
phone
it
and
upon
call
your-
or text or
Take it upon yourself to be a somebody who's just making a list of people you want to check in with on a regular basis. Maybe you are out and about, and if you are, drop something at someone's porch if they need it. With text messaging now, we can all stay in touch with each other without coming in contact with each other. It's very easy. But there are so many other things you could be doing. You were talking about our military. Take time to, if your kids want to write letters or draw pictures, what a wonderful time to utilize our downtime right now to reach out to the military, or just get out letters or paper and write to your family members, your grandparents, draw pictures. There's really, if you think about it, there's so much that we can do productively while we're homebound.
And what it is getting back to basics. And that is just, being a good neighbor. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. You would like, I'm telling you, it is so nice to get a phone call for somebody that says, yes, I'm just calling. I'm the adjutant of the VFW, and I just wanted to call and see if you were okay. Are you doing all right? Is there anything that you need? Okay, thank you. And I know that person is probably sitting there just going down 400 or 500 members they might have, and they've got to go through all these lists. But they're doing it because it's just the brotherly thing to do.
Mm-hmm. If you have little kids too, I've got, obviously my youngest is almost 18, so our list of things to do is going to be a little different than those of you. But I think about moms and dads who have little ones home right now, and keeping them busy. There are no outings other than maybe going to a park, and I don't even know that you'd want to go to a park or a playground right now. I think really pretty much a walk around the neighborhood is about it. But my neighbor Annie, you've met her before. She's great. She's got a lot of fun things planned for the kids. She's ordered workbooks, so she's got some school that the teachers have sent work home via email that they can print off and do some work, and so that's good and constructive. But also she's going to create a fairy garden with her kids. Somewhere in the backyard, she's going to define a little space, and they're going to create a little fairy garden. You know what a fairy garden is, that the little thing, like little things that you can put. You make a little fairy garden. They're like, you put a little log, put a little mushroom. You've never seen that?
I never heard of that.
A little fairy garden. And so there are so many things. And again, with like Google, you can just Google activities at home. They've built forts. They're going to make a spaceship out of a big. One thing he's doing is making Jack, her son, is making a high rise out of old boxes, and they're going to paint and decorate. I mean, you can really come up with I know it's hard, and these parents are probably so tired of trying to entertain these kids that are homebound, because they're full of energy, and
you can also bake cookies.
And you can bake cookies. They've done that. They bake cookies, and that's that's something you can do if you're 7 or 18, because that's what I'm doing with
70
because I'm going to be doing that with Elizabeth today. We're going to bake cookies, and
I think that might be on my agenda too.
Yeah, I'm trying not to. I said to Elizabeth, we've got a lot of great quarantine snacks here at the house, and we have from healthy to not so healthy. I have a balance of quarantine snacks.
Lauren bought a box of, it looks like this, of those steel cut oats. And she's not really into it. And we keep staring at that thing saying, one of these days we're home and we're doing nothing. We're going to have to make some of these steel cut oats and see what it's all about.
What is it, like oatmeal?
Yeah.
Oh, I can give you the recipe for an incredible.
But it's supposed to be healthy for you.
Right. I have a recipe that uses old-fashioned oats.
Well, Quaker Oats, I used to just open up the package and pour the boiling water into it. That was my oatmeal.
Well, you can make a cookie with oatmeal, and I'll send the recipe to Lauren, because it uses oats, and instead of butter, applesauce, and all kinds of, and you put in there white chocolate and dark chocolate, and it is so good. And it really satisfies your sweet tooth, but it's a healthy cookie, and it uses the oats. So if you guys,
send the recipe.
I'll send it.
Send the recipe.
I just did it not too long ago. But yeah, so like for us, we're staying pretty busy. Under the circumstances, it's surprising how busy we have been during the days, just with things going on. But a lot of it has been online computer work for Elizabeth.
Another thing is be sensible with regard to the medical community. They are being taxed to the hilt right now. a lot of hospitals, a lot of doctors' offices. I just got a notice from my dentist. He said that he's going to keep hours only for people in emergencies. Someone who needs I got it from the veterinarian this morning. He's only going to be open for emergency situations. If you have scheduled a teeth cleaning or you've scheduled some kind of a basic exam for your animal, please reschedule it. Wait a month or something and reschedule it. They only want to have their doors open for medical emergencies.
I don't blame
That's
them.
true for humans. It's true for your pets. Be sensible about it. If you have got nail appointments, so
Good.
what's right? You can't.
Well,
Sydney says, "Oh no, I'm not going to cancel that."
Phil
No.
has a hair appointment and they canceled, and we were having this conversation with our neighbors and didn't even know it. My one neighbor cuts hair. I mean, she doesn't do it professionally, but she can cut hair, and so she's going to cut Phil's hair.
Well, call your barbershop or something, because even the barbershops are starting to do it, and the beauty shops. Instead of having 12 stations or 6 stations and somebody there, this separation issue, and all what they're doing is they're starting to say that we're only going to allow 2 clients in at
Right.
per hour, one at the front of the salon, one at the rear of the salon. You keep that separation of your clients, you keep the separation of your staff. That's a prudent thing to do, instead of just saying we got to close the doors, because you know what? The rent's going to come due and you're still going to have to pay the rent.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to pay the light bill, the electric bill. So if you can modify your business or your dealings with where you're going, call ahead. Don't run to 12 markets to see if you can buy toilet paper. Maybe call ahead and say, do you have toilet paper? Do you have canned goods? Do you have dairy products in stock? No, but we're expecting it tomorrow morning. Okay, what time? About 8 o'clock. Good, I'll be there at 8 o'clock, or I'll be there at 8:30. And plan your day and your life around
Wisely.
some of that too.
Yeah. My one neighbor, and another thing too, is that if you're at these places at the right time and you ask about something, they might be able to tell you when the truck's coming in, so you can better plan, your outings.
Right.
My one neighbor went to get, I don't know, chicken or something, I can't remember, and they were out of it, of course. And the butcher said, "Hey, I have one already pulled for me in the back. I'm going to give you mine because I'm going to be here when the truck comes in." I think for the most part, people are being very thoughtful and mindful. And I like to hear stories like that,
Yeah, it's all about taking care of each other.
Yeah. And staying busy and active during this time of sedentary kind of lifestyle. I can't stress that enough. To just even if it's just cleaning out a drawer, just stay busy. And not constantly crazy busy. I'm just saying continue to move and do your thing to keep your mental and physical
And you know
being
what else?
healthy.
Open up that drawer and take out that thing called a deck of cards.
Oh yeah.
That you haven't seen in ages, and sit down and play a little gin rummy or something for a change, or just be creative.
Yep.
I'm
Again,
gonna go pick up a puzzle on my way home.
Oh
yeah.
Good.
That
Yep.
my daughter wanted that, so we ordered her some jigsaw puzzles, 500-piece jigsaw puzzles. She loves it, and I said to Lauren, we should have done that for ourselves. Now would have been a good time to open up
order.
a 500 or 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle and sit down at the table and put it together.
Order one.
So-
There's still time, I'm sure.
Well, I'll call around and see if I can find a toy store that's
Yeah.
and swing by. But folks, thank you for joining us and sharing this hour with us with something to talk about. And we'll be here again next week, and hopefully we will have extremely positive news about all of this, and we will pick a different subject for next week. So go out, make it a good weekend. Thank you again. Be well, Vaughn, and you too, Sydney, and we'll see you again next week.